Hi guys, let's talk about trigonometric integrals today. Some formulas that you need to remember when talking about trigonometric integrals are these two formulas. One is sine square x equals 1 minus cosine of 2x divided by 2, and the other one is cosine square of x equals to 1 plus cosine of 2x divided by 2. The way I remember this, I think of cosine matching with cosine, so that's why it has that plus sign, but sine doesn't match with cosine. So that's why it has that negative sign. Okay, so now let's talk about some cases of how we could see integration problems. Okay, starting with sine and cosine. Again, we have sine, cosine, tangent, and secant. So let's start first with sine and cosine. So here we have a couple of cases. The first case is when the power of sine is odd. What do we do when the power of sine is odd? So let's have a look at an example. What we do when it is odd. Okay. So pointer. So let's say we are told to find the integral of sine cube of x times cosine square of x dx. Okay. What do we do? So what we do is we split the sine function. We're going to split this up and we're going to take one factor out of the sine function. Again, feel free to pause and try solving the problem, and let's get started. Okay, so what do we need to do? Split the sine function. So we could say sine squared x times sine x times cosine square x dx. Okay, now this, as we know, according to a formula that you might have come across previously, we know that sine square x, my apologies for the pointer not working as expected. So sine square x equals to 1 minus cosine square x. If you come across this formula, if you have not come across this formula, please do write these formulas down in your notebook. And as we know, sine square x plus cosine square of x equals 1. Okay, and that's how we get these two formulas from this one formula. Okay, like here, if you see, we subtract cosine square both sides, and that's how we get this first formula, and we subtract sine square of x both sides, and that's how we get this second formula. Okay, and now, so we split it. So that was our first step. Second step is plugging in this formula, okay, into our sine square of x. Okay, so we could write down sine square of x as 1 minus cosine square of x times sine of x times cosine square of x dx. Okay, now we could do u sub. Okay, so what u sub are we going to do here? So we're going to do u substitution of let u equal to cosine of x. Okay, let u equal cosine of x. Du is going to be equal to negative sine. As we know, the derivative of cosine is negative sine of x dx. Okay, and negative d, we could write dx, or yeah, we could write down we could say negative du equals to sine of x dx. Pointer. Okay, and now, so if we do the u sub, let's say, so 1 minus u squared times 1 minus u squared times u squared. Then we can times for the sine of x. What we could do, if you could see here, we're going to bring that negative sign outside, and we're going to sub in that for du. Okay, and for cosine square of x, we're going to just let it be u squared. Okay, and the du remains. Why? because we subbed that in for the sine of x. Okay, and with that sine of x comes that negative sign. That's why I put that negative sign outside, since we're multiplying. Okay, next, negative of integral of 1 minus u squared. So the next step would be to multiply it out. Okay, so u squared minus u to the fourth du. Okay, now we just have to take the integral. Okay, the basic, yeah, just take the integral of how, using the power rule of integration. Okay, so then that it's gonna be u cubed over 3 minus u to the fifth over 5 plus c. Do not forget plus c, because we're doing indefinite integral, right? We're not doing definite integral. Okay, now we just plug in what our u was. What was our u? Cosine of x. So it's negative cosine of x cubed, okay, over 3. Okay, I'm going to put a bracket sign so that we can multiply the negative sign afterwards, minus cosine of x to the fifth minus 5 plus c. Okay, now we could multiply that minus sign. Minus minus is going to give us plus cosine of x fifth minus minus, yeah, and then divided by divided by 5 plus c. Okay, so that is our answer. You could just leave it like that, or if you want, you could go ahead and you could just take out that third and make it negative 1 over 1, negative 1/3 times cosine of x to the third. Either way, so I'm gonna call this as our final answer. Okay, guys, let's have a look at another example. Okay, now this is gonna be just finding the integral of sine to the fifth of 5x, okay, dx, 5x dx. Pause the video and give it a shot. Okay, now that you're back, let's give it a try, okay? So what are we gonna do? We're gonna split it first, okay? Split the sine function, okay? We're gonna take out one factor of the sine. So sine to the fourth, uh, sine to the fourth of 5x times sine to the 5 sine 5x dx. Okay, with the next step, again, we're going to split it even more, because we want to get the even factors. Okay, sine square of x times it's sine square of 5x. So don't forget, it's not just x, it's 5x times sine square of 5x, okay, times sine of 5x dx. Okay, now this is going to be equal to, now what we could do, we could do sines, we could do the same substitution of that formula. Okay, equals 1 minus I'm going to write down the formula on the side if you want to write it down in your notebook also. So sine square of x equals 1 minus cosine square of x. The only difference here, okay, is that 5x. That's going to come in place of x. Okay, notice that difference, because that difference could make big changes if we don't make sure that it's 5x. Okay, so it's going to be 1 minus cosine square of 5x to the whole square times sine of and again, why did we do the whole square over here? Because we have two of these. Please do take note of that. We have two of those. Okay, and this is going to be, and then we're going to have this sine of 5x come down as it is. Okay. Okay, now what we could do is we could do u sub. Okay, let's go to the side and say u equals to cosine of 5x. du is then going to be equal to the derivative. First, we're going to do the outside, which is going to be negative sine, right? Negative sine of x. Negative sine of 5x. Don't forget, negative sine of 5x. Derivative of cosine is going to be sine. And the derivative inside, which is just going to be 5. Okay? So du is going to be equal to negative 1/5 du sine of 5x dx. Okay, so so this is going to help us sub it back in. Okay, so again, this negative 1/5 is going to come outside. So negative 1/5 time and negative 1/5 integral of 1 minus u square. Okay, don't forget that 1 minus u square to the whole square du. And why is that sine of 5x? Because sine of 5x, we sub it in with that du, with this du. Okay? Okay, now our answer is gonna look something like negative 1/5 integral of 1 minus u squared to the whole square. We can FOIL that out. That's gonna be 1 minus 2u squared plus u to the 4th du. Okay? And our answer, we're going to simplify that more further. Now we can do the power rule, okay, for integration. So it's going to be u minus 2u to the 3rd over 3 plus u to the 5th over 5 plus c. Okay? And our answer, we're going to sub back our u. What was our u again? Our u was cosine of 5x, okay? We're going to sub in our 5x, cosine of 5x, and then cosine of 5x, this is going to be cubed plus cosine of 5x to the 5th over 5. Okay, and that is going to be plus c. Do not forget that constant of integration. Okay, so this is our final answer. You could multiply negative 1/5 to all of the values inside, and that could give a more concise answer, but I'm going to stop over here because I feel like this answer should suffice. All right, we will continue in the next video with case 2 and more of the cases of what happens when we do when we have odd power of cosine and secant and tangent also. If you did like the video and if you found it informative, please do like, share, and subscribe to the video. Thank you so much, guys.